I'm CraigO, and join me on my adventures with CraigO's cryptocurrency as we cover the blockchain, Web3, NFT, and cryptocurrency technologies. Interviewing the best in the industry, giving tips and tricks, and also sharing with you projects that I'm most excited about.
You're tuning into CraigO's Crypto Corner, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency technology. Great reviews, incredible interviews with some of the leading people in the Web3 ethos, and just the general things Web3. I want to welcome everyone today tuning in on Twitter Spaces, YouTube, and the Facebook live stream. All right, so I have a distinct pleasure today to connect with three thought leaders from three different NFT communities. They're coming together to share and discuss their personal perspective on the state of Web3 and how to navigate this opportunity market to your advantage. I am joined by Steve Brotman, co-founder of Cryptopittz, Duncan Twig, the community face of Super Rare Bears, and Matt Swazy, 1/3 of the X-Verse community, all on the Multiverse X blockchain, which is the Elrond blockchain renamed, which we'll talk about that. Matt is a proud husband and father that utilizes both his professional and gaming history to discover how Web3 can help society. Through teaching, learning, and supporting others around him, Matt is consistently building with a better future in mind. The X-Verse community is in the process of creating nodes that process transactions for security and efficiency on Multiverse X. Steve has nearly 2 decades of business development leadership and biotech industry experience. His background lends to creative collaborations in the Web3 space. He is the co-founder of Cryptopittz brand, a fully immersive digital asset community. And also our third guest today, Mr. Duncan Twig, is a strong communicator and collaborator in the Web3 NFT space. As the head of public relations for Super Rare Bears, he is consistently having conversations around strategy for his SBR family. He is focused on what's to come and how to take things to the next level. He is an early adopter of Elrond, now Multiverse X. We are going to do a deep dive into the mindset of each of these three amazing communities and our guests to understand their long-term strategy on digital assets. I have lined up over 21 different talking points that are powerful, thought-provoking to pull the very best from Steve, Duncan, and Matt. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you guys doing today?
Ooh.
Fantastic. Thank you, Craig. Thank you. That was a very kind introduction for Steve. That was really nice words you said for Steve.
That was very overzealous
kind of
for
surprised.
both Duncan and Maddie.
I tried. And by the way, Matt Swazy is 1/3 the Pyramid Group, and the X-First project is created for the community. It's a community project, so they're not selfish. I just want to start it off there. No, I love all you guys, and most importantly, Matt, I am going to ask that you refrain today from the fudding that you do, because you have the Matt Swazy. He's known for the good, the bad, and the fuddly. Matty's Metrics. If you guys don't know about that, you should check it out. He does project reviews. But I'm going to ask Matt that you be respectful to my Super Rare Bear and my Cryptopittz community. I love those guys. They took their time out. Duncan's coming in from Grandma's Kitchen with the mustard background, so please show some respect. And I don't know, what's the cap you're wearing, Steve? What is that?
This is what we would call a Cryptopittz cap, Craig.
Wow. Is that merchandise branding that you have there?
That's merchandising.
Wow.
Right. This is actually one of the failed productions, so it will not be commercially available. This is a
all right.
That's a one-on-one.
error.
No, I love it. But before we do that, I do want to do a screen share because I would like people in Twitter Spaces, and also we've got about 7 people right now on YouTube. I'll take it. Thank you, everybody that's tuning in. Do a quick screen share. I want to just show each of the pages. So this is Duncan Twig's page. So I'd love you guys to go and follow him. I'd also like you guys to go and follow Mr. Steve Brotman, who is the co-founder of Cryptopittz.
That's colorful.
And Matt Swazy, 1/3 the Pyramid Group. Go and follow him. So we can go back to unscreen sharing. Thank you. All righty. So here's the thing I want to throw out to you guys. And Steve, I'm going to throw this one at you. I'm going to throw it really hard. You ready? What is a roadmap and a white paper that either pulls you towards a community or pushes you away? And I want you to think about it in the context of your community, Cryptopittz, on the Multiverse X blockchain.
What a great way to start off this conversation with such a intuitive question. Honestly, I'll tell you right now that we rely a lot on this white paper for NFT projects, and we got to remember what a white paper is. Traditionally in academia, white paper is a peer-to-peer reviewed article of typically of academic resource, right? So we're really looking at white papers in the NFT space of trying to put a square peg into a round hole, right? I mean, show me the innovative, ingenuitous tech that is being created in your project and write me a white paper. But if you're art and if you're celebrating community and if you're bringing some type of new advantage to the Web3 space, I don't know if I would call that a white paper. White papers I really reserve for those products that are of a very high technological, I guess high technological innovation that is bringing into a space. So I don't always put a lot of value on white papers for NFT projects. Roadmap, on the other stance, I think it's more important for NFT projects or Web3 projects to really rely on their roadmap, right? This is really the path of our business model, right? We say roadmap, but in the business world, we would call that a business model. What is your business model? How do you intend to steer, and what is the arc of your project? So I put more weight on the roadmap than the white paper in the Web3 space.
All right. No, and you know what? I love that answer. But here's where I'm going to twist this a little bit. So Matt, you guys have for X First, you have the black paper. And before you answer the question that I'm going to throw at you, I love that it's 53 pages, super detailed, well laid out. I like the fact that there were no spelling errors that I was able to find. And again, there's props to all three communities, and you'll notice that throughout this podcast. And again, that's why I have you guys on here. But I love the fact that you didn't give a shit to name it the blue paper, the white paper. You called it the black paper. Why, and what's in there that you think attracted people to want to learn more about X First?
Oh, well, Craig, I think, shout out to Don Paulo for putting the final touches and getting that black paper put together. Ultimately, we're looking at the market and reviewing everything and thought, you know what? We kind of like to rub against the grain a bit. So black paper was the way to go, just to kind of stand out and do something a little bit different. We went with the blacklist as well. And to kind of follow up with what Steve was saying there, I like his take on the roadmap. And I think it's an important tool for kind of giving an easy, quick way, especially in the NFT space, to communicate the larger vision that maybe you traditionally see on a white paper or a light paper. And things as far as egregious errors on those, poor communication, a vision that is either short-sighted or maybe even, way too big that you think it couldn't happen, that those would be some red flags to watch out for. I'm really proud with what we've accomplished and been able to deliver on behalf of the X First community with ours and how it was communicated. 53 pages, but not a, heavy read, so to speak, but a lot of good content in there.
No, not at all. And so then I love that answer. And so Duncan, I want to throw this to you. You are the head of community relations, especially on the American leg here for Super Rare Bear community. You're a sizable holder within that community, and you are dedicated, you are loyal, you are well respected in the space. Before you got in and before you made the purchase, now mind you, you're probably one of the earliest people here. I think either between you and Steve, I might say it might be you, and you'll tell me in a second. But before you were going in, oh, okay, cool. This is good to know. This is great. I saw the head shake. Okay, we're gonna get back to that in a second.
Violent head shake.
With the what? It
was a violent head shake.
I know. I don't want you to hurt yourself. I don't want you to hurt yourself. So Duncan, but here's the question for you. Before you got in and before you invested in the Super Rare Bear community, did you dive into their paper? I'm gonna call it a paper. Maybe it was a blue paper. I don't know.
No, I didn't. I went. I just jumped in. Actually, my buddy Maverick over in Las Vegas. Steve, I'm probably sorry about your neck right there. That must have hurt. He told me about it. I jumped into it. Didn't really think too much about it. I just jumped into it. Had no thought process. It was a terrible way of investing. I wouldn't suggest anyone do it that way. But I looked nothing into any of the information about it originally, and that's what it was like. It was a beautiful blessing to find out and learn more and more about the Elrond network originally, and it wound up being one of the best decisions I made in my life.
Okay, so I call it the lucky digital asset NFT ticket. You won because once you got in, right, you had a trusted resource who had probably maybe done their due diligence. You've hopped into this community. You are now, the head of it. You are the face of it. And by the way, all week long, Super Rare Bears was representing hard on Twitter, and I appreciate you guys. So after you got in and so you said, oh, did I make a mistake or was this good? Did I just listen to my friend's advice or should I read and learn more? So once you started to now dive in after you made this FOMO decision, by the way, we do a lot of FOMOing around here. The big question for you was, once you dived in, what was it in that white paper or the roadmap that really excited you about the Super Rare Bear community?
With the Super Rare Bear community, it was the team originally, because I knew nothing about them. And to know that they're very transparent and they were speaking to the community, answering all the questions, it seemed around the clock that no matter when you had a question, that it was being answered. So them showing that presence and that they were available at all times, that hyped me up on the community itself, on the brand, on the project. So it was a good decision to get more elaborate on my researching whenever I did take a look at their white paper, which we have that displayed in our Medium. We have the links for it as well. Would love for anyone to critique it. I know Matt does a fantastic job with his reviews.
Don't worry about Matt and his reviews, Duncan. You stay there. But I do want to tell you something. Don Paulo, and I agree with Don. Okay, I control this podcast, not you, Duncan. Don Paulo said that you should be on the WWE. Yeah, it's because it used to be the WWF. And I have to agree with him. I mean, that's why you're Super Rare Bear. It's Hulk Hogan, right? Am I right? Is that Hulk?
That's right, brother.
no, but here's, so I want to throw this over to Matt. Matt, what makes X First so damn special? One sentence, bro.
The fact that we were able to come together the way we did during a bear market.
Love it.
These guys had a huge advantage coming in before, so I think they should be scared of me sitting here right here with them. I know they're scared, Craig.
No, I don't think they should be scared. I just think they should embrace a legend in the making. But Steve, I want to go to you. What makes your community so damn special? And by the way, I'm in these communities, so go for it, Steve.
What does make the community so damn special? I mean, our community is the fiercest fighting community in Multiverse X. They are the most passionate, engaging, degenerate population you'll find on the multiverse. And I think if you want to know what really has the opportunity to bring a project to the forefront is your community at all times. You have to be very community centric. And we fostered, in my opinion, the greatest community in Multiverse X. I mean, no offense to anyone else on this call, because everyone has a respectively great community. But in one sentence, that's a run-on. That's how I would define it. I
love it. Duncan, how about you?
What's that?
What makes Super Rare Bears so special?
It was team oriented. The way that the team was situated and how detailed they were with their explanations on what they're doing, why they're doing it, the transparency, just being available. Every bit of that, it was chemistry towards how a team leads a community, and then to see it reciprocated from the community with their creativity and how involved the community is, that gets me pretty hyped about it.
I love it. Steve, how do you add value outside your community? So put Cryptopittz to the side for a second. You've been in Web3 for a while. I mean, we're all vets in this space at this point. It takes a very short amount of time. The joke I have with Easton Gladney is a day in Web3 is sort of like a year. So we've got hundreds, if not thousands of years behind us, I think, with all the reading, all the engagement we do. But how do you add value outside of your community, Steve?
Yeah, I do a lot of stripping. Here in Las Vegas, we have a huge strip club community, and I try to, when I get up there, I'm oftentimes
I don't have a
emblazoned in a lot of Cryptopittz gear. No, in reality, it's stuff like this, right? I mean, being a founder or whatever you want to call it in the Web3 space is a huge responsibility, not just to your community, not just to the development, not just to the promises you've made, but also putting yourself out there and really risking it all to demonstrate that you're willing to walk the line, walk the plank, if you will, in order to bring value to what you set forth to deliver on. And I think ultimately that's what we're doing. And yes, I do have an OnlyFans. You can subscribe. Thank you, Greg, for bringing that up.
Yeah, Pit Panther. Pit Panther would like that. I mean, Pitt, if you ever come into Connecticut,
Pillow biting pits is my handle on OnlyFans. But yeah, so yeah, you have to really work all the angles. You have to make yourself present. Duncan has been a huge example of that. He's everywhere, everywhere and anywhere at the same time. He occupies a lot of space.
But Steve, I didn't ask you to compliment your co-guest over there.
There was a thinly veiled insult.
I like a little question in between, but I do want to mention again how beautiful that hat is on your head, Steve. I just want to, how you show up as you grow up. Duncan, I want to go over to you. Outside of super rare bears, how are you adding value within the Web3 space?
By my presence in Cryptopittz's space, and he's talking about the strip bar. I've been tipping him with bones, and I've upgraded to rare tokens. But besides Cryptopitz's space, I just do my own thing. I'm communicative. I go out there, I speak with people, get involved with interviews such as this, and you're doing a fantastic job with your show here.
Thank you.
But I like to engage in community conversation. Any angle that I could put myself into to speak with people, I like to be part of that conversation.
Yeah, and matter of fact, I'm going to answer this one for Matt, and then I'm going to let him answer and stuff. So I've been very focused as a podcaster. I've been very humbled by how much I absolutely don't know. And every time I have a guest on, like last week, we had Mark Yusko, phenomenal conversation. If anybody hasn't heard it, you got to go back and just listen to it. Talks about fractionalized banking. he dropped a lot of good red pill stuff, and he was super transparent, and he wasn't polarizing. But what I love about Matt, and then Matt, I'll let you go into this, is that every week I connect with Matt on a Tuesday evening, and he'll go over technical analysis stuff with me. I was very weak in that area, and I'm becoming stronger. The fundamental side are the good feelings and all those types of things. But I was going to say, outside of his direct community, he's connecting with me and others, giving of his time to educate. And as I know, Duncan and Steve, you do as well. But Matt, outside of helping CraigO here, what are you doing to help others, and how are you adding value to the Web3 ethos?
Oh, Craig, I think you mentioned Maddie's metrics before, and I want to thank you because I've had plenty of one-on-ones teaching people and realize how much I enjoyed educating about finance and NFTs. And as I move more and learn more into the space, I'm trying to find creative ways to keep it fun and be able to cover deeper dives while still talking about things that are, relative to maybe someone who is new to this space. So I just try to keep things simple and continue to, reach out and talk to people like that. If you, know me personally, it's not unlike me to jump on a 1 hour phone call with somebody at a moment's notice and start going over some stuff. I appreciate getting paid for the time when I can. So, working on that as well, and also working with Pyramid Group Consulting, and just continue to try to build out exposure and educating around Web3, and working with everybody and see where we can all land one day.
No, I love that. And so we all know how you guys add value. I was thinking about roles in the space, right? Because right now, as we are early pioneers, we are building our brand, we are building our recognition and our credibility, but we're also building towards a place that communities have, or podcasts like mine will have the opportunity to monetize in a correct and respectful way, where you don't lose trust and you're adding value to everybody who's connecting with you. And I think that to me is really important. So I want to talk about defining roles, and in this space, the end user, right? The consumer, the community overall, outside of just purchasing the NFT, but those that are engaging, especially on Twitter Spaces, the employee, if there's an employee within the Web3 space, an investor, right, outside of just being somebody who bought like an NFT from your community, a manager, a mod, and of course, an owner. How do you guys each delineate those roles? And is there a different way to communicate with each of those parties to keep everybody cohesively together? Duncan, I want to throw this over to you first.
Sure. Well, I mean, I don't think there's any way that you separate it per se. It's already known. You know who the community managers are the moment that you go into a room. You can get standard answers from people, but you see that the admins, they're titled admins, and those are the ones that I would recommend that everybody trust, because those are the people that are running these channels. And then obviously the teams pick out the moderators. These are vetted people that have earned the trust and have the knowledge, have taken those deep dives as well. So those are the ones that kind of lead that charge. And then you have the community members who are a part of it that are learning from the moderators. They're learning from the team leaders, the team itself, and then the investors. We have quite a few of them. They sit back. They've made their investment, and they're just patiently waiting for it to grow. There's sometimes there's a lot of communication. Other times they're just sitting there and they're letting their asset mature.
I love that. And the reason that I asked this question specifically, by the way, shout out to Wolf of X Street. Thank you so much. I appreciate the compliment. I'll continue to have great conversations with people. And this is just such an honor because each of you have been on my podcast separately. Matt, this is his second time on, so it's an honor to have him back, as well as you two handsome gentlemen at the bottom of my screen. But the thing that I think about is right now, when I think about traditional business, and that's mostly what my podcast is going to focus on, is actual products and services directly connecting with Web3 based communities, because these communities that are being built right now in Twitter Spaces in this opportunity market are tremendously important to the overall growth and credibility in a space that's taken some pretty big hits from, I don't want to say from FTX, but when people don't know about Web3, the funniest question that was ever asked from a good friend of mine who's kind of curious now is, Craig, is crypto going bankrupt? I loved it. I didn't know how to answer it. But so when I look at, for instance, the merch on Steve's head, that makes me think about, leadership. That makes me think about actual products connecting with the Web3 brand. So I'm just going to throw this out to Super Rare Bears and X First. I have a Cryptopittz shirt. I would love to see some more merch on my chest. I've got On-Chain Monkeys, Peace Rabbit collection. There's sort of like a surfer collection. But my point being is that to connect with the people, to have actual products and services is extremely important. And we're going to talk about how you guys are integrating with Web 2. But Steve, I want to go to you, right? How do you delineate in a space that is just trying to figure out the idea around culture, how an owner should communicate with his community in a mature manner and fashion? And sometimes I don't see that, and it's disappointing. And it's not shots fired, but I see it very clearly, and it's disappointing at best. And then how should a community engage someone who's holding a token? And then also the mod, what is the responsibility? So how do you differently, maybe a little bit, give me a different answer. How do you delineate that differently from what Duncan had to say?
Duncan said it pretty well.
I want to hear your answer.
No,
I'm getting you a level up here. Come on.
No, for sure. And I can always trump Duncan. No, but for real, there's a lot to unpack with that question. So first and foremost, I don't know which one I'm answering first, but the communication style for Cryptopittz has always been very honest and transparent. And we're not trying to talk above our audience because, frankly, that would mean we're talking at a middle school or above level. But in reality, we really do try to be ourselves. That's always been our communication style. We don't sugarcoat. This is who I am. I mean, if you interact with me on a one-on-one basis, you're going to get the same person that you're interacting on this show, and you're going to get the same person who's interacting with my community, because that's ultimately what Cryptopittz is. It's a projection of its founders. We are this kind of wild, eccentric, creative, and really innovative bunch. And that's kind of what we try to communicate to our community. That's what we communicate to the ecosystem and the industry as a whole. As a product line, we ultimately are looking at every dimension of what a brand can do, right? And what does a brand mean? And during this time, it's so easy to build a product in a bull market. All you need is a little bit of hype, a little bit of magic, a little tweet here or there, and boom, before you know it, you can have a lot of success. And there's not a lot of people that are going to be on your case because everyone's making money. Well, in a bear market, that's not the case. You really strip away all those securities of what comes with the bull market, and you really have to demonstrate that you have value, intrinsic value, extrinsic value as well. And Crypto really tried to cultivate that a lot.
But let me throw this, let me narrow in this question a little more. And I get you. And by the way, all your responses, everything you've had to say has such knowledge tied to it. Let's go focused in on a mod, right? When you think about a mod, and you guys have a mod in your Cryptopittz community, correct?
We have quite a few. Yeah. And they're honestly some of the most. Mods are the fabric, the DNA of your brand. Mods really are. They're the main, if there's the introns and extrons, I'll take it back to my science days, the junk DNA versus the DNA that actually produces a protein that, results in some functional element to you. Right. They're the functional elements to this community. They are everything to the Cryptopittz. We love our mods. We're constantly doing things to either support them or try to give them legs up, or we try to get them involved with this, being part of this team. You know, we don't think of mods as just, you know, auxiliary members that are, you know, brand ambassadors. No, I really do believe them as team members. You know, many of them have come up with ideas that have shaped our arc of Cryptopittz, right? Many of them have come up with some contests and games and directions we should take, and we listen and we hear them. We ignore them a lot too, because if you only knew. But for real, we absolutely love our mods, and they are one of the most critical cornerstones to any Web3 product. I don't care what you are, whether you're a blockchain, product, or whether you're an NFT product. Mods are instrumental.
But I want to say this, Steve. I love that answer, and that's why I wanted to niche in. So one of the metrics today that I want people to pull from this podcast, who's ever tuning in, who will tune in after, one of the biggest metrics to mention is about mods. And those mods, obviously, you find in Discord. So start asking those questions. I'm going to come back to you in a second, Steve. Start asking those questions and watch how they engage and see what the mods have to say. That will also create maybe a level of excitement. It looks like Steve rugged on us, not the project, him. So we're going to come back to him in a second. But I want to go up to Matt. Matt, you're at the top right of my screen. What are your thoughts? And I want to maybe niche in with you on, if I buy into X first, right? I'm going to come back to you in a second, Steve. If I come into X first, right? I have an expectation as a holder. What is a reasonable expectation for somebody in your community to have? Just a reasonable expectation.
That the community and us, that we're going to mean what we say and say what we mean and follow through on our promises. And hey, we're human and realize that everyone makes mistakes. And so if, for instance, a deadline isn't missed, or for some reason there's a pivot, that's going to be explained in full. And the community will be a complete part of that conversation. If you're in there now, we'll jump into the Discord stages and almost have, team type meetings with the community, and record that and post it in the Discord for others to listen to later. Full transparency.
And that's, to me, is going to come to the next thought-provoking question, which is, it's what you guys said, is it's a cohesive ethos. One of the questions that my wife asked me, she goes, what's so great about Twitter Spaces? Because I always hear, I'll be folding laundry, I'll wash the dishes. She's like, why are you in there? I said, I do so much learning from all the communities cross-chain. It is absolutely amazing. I've learned stuff, just everyday stuff, and how it's tying back to traditional products and services, and how these communities that are creating such a strong core. You all right there, Duncan? Okay, good. He's all right. He's all right, ladies and gentlemen, from Grandma's basement. All right, so what is your community battle cry? And I want to give a quick example, and then, Duncan, I'm going to throw this at you. I love you guys. The battle cry, what I think about is with On-Chain Monkey, and I've talked about them a lot. They're on the Ethereum blockchain. Much respect to them. They have a thing called iRise, and that is they give bananas. You connect directly onto their site with your monkeys. Monkeys go on missions, and when you want to give away these bananas, you're able to purchase their merchandise, which I think is so important. Again, the communities have to generate, and I understand in an opportunity market that can be challenging. But Duncan, is there a phrase? Is there something that's said that you're like, that's super rare bears? That if it was one sentence and you hear it, you're like, oh, that's my community. Is there a battle cry for you guys?
We're always bullish in every situation, because we're constantly building, and we're constantly communicating with our community. So in terms of a battle cry,
bears.
What's that, sir?
Someone said bears, bears, bears. Is that the battle cry too?
I mean, it could be. That's a solid holder in our community as well. His voice is very, very loud, and a lot of people respect the ideas and the conversations that he starts. But it's always bullish.
Yeah, got it. I love that. All right, Matt. How about you? Is there a battle cry? It could be for the Pyramid Group, because you're 1/3 the handsome group, right? Probably the handsomest out of Don and Easton. If we're all be honest, Steve and Duncan, you might agree with me. But Matt, what is the, yeah, Steve agreed. Matt, what's the battle cry for you guys?
So Steve had said something earlier about Pitts was a reflection of, how they operate. And for that reason, I hold several and had been around in pits for a while, there's a little confirmation there for you, Steve. Don't let your head get, excuse me, get too big there, buddy. But in this space, you've got to be ready to adapt and pivot on a moment's notice, and things can change so quick. So I think if we're still a young community, kind of early, I think if I had to pick one out, it would be Leroy Jenkins would be our battle cry.
But I love that. That is needed. And Steve, what is the Cryptopittz battle cry? I mean, I figure I'm in your community and I hold some Cryptopittz. I should know. What is the battle cry?
Do you have a pen and paper? Write this down. Woof, woof.
Got it. Woof, woof. I love
woof, it. Woof. And that is a battle cry that unites all pits. It unites all people. It shows that we're a pack.
By the way, my good buddy Meta Matt wrote, "You can be a bear." Let me see. You can be a bear. Always bullish. Love. Wait, where did this question go? There it is. You can don't be a pig. Just don't be a pig. You can be a bear.
That's one of the most classic. That's one of the most classic Wall Street lines in the business.
I was like, where did it go on the screen? And it's great. We've got 14 amazing human beings tuning in on YouTube Live. So I appreciate you. I'm sure quite a bit more. Yeah, exactly. LFO or LFG. Yeah, let's effing go. That's right. So what I want to do real quick before we go to our next conversation, Tony, we're going to go into a quick screen share. All right. And so people who are tuning in, I'd love for you guys to go and subscribe to my ever-growing YouTube channel where all the great content is stored. And then if you're not following, I wish there was engage button. I don't like the word follow button, because if you follow, you can engage. You can DM me. You can ask questions. I'm always wanting to learn. I'm always wanting to share information. I will share a funny story before I hopped on this podcast I shared with you guys before, but it's really kind of cool to get some of those more technical questions. So thank goodness, Matt, I have you in my life. We can come off a screen share now. All right. And so, all right, I guess I'm trying to figure out how I want to ask this question, right? So the panel here has a good breadth of experience. And when I think about it, what are your thoughts around staking digital assets? And digital assets, for those that tune in that might not know, most of us that are tuning in are degens. We're involved in the space. We understand what a digital asset is, which is an NFT. When you think about staking pools, and Duncan, I want to throw this to you. I want to hear a pro from you, and I want to hear a con. And I don't want to hear just a fluff, and you give it to me like it is. But I want to hear the con of staking. But obviously, I think the pros outweigh. It's my personal opinion. So what are your thoughts around staking pools for digital asset communities?
I think the pros are this shows that a holder's wanting to hold, and that they're interested in the utility of the NFT, which is gaining them some type of revenue, some type of interest on something. And that's why we have about 10 pools that are open. And it has a varied, it's a variety of different traits or rarities that your NFT holds. So it's appealing towards individuals that want specific NFTs for those reasons. If you happen to pick up a lot of the same traits, some pools may benefit you better than others. The cons are, I guess, entrapment. You feel kind of stuck if you have to keep it staked for so long. If you want to make a financial decision, then you're put in a place. But with us, you can kind of put in and take out as often and with no time limit. So that would be a con if you're stuck in a position.
And we're going to talk about the utility tokens that, or you can call them rewards points. I'm not sure. Everybody's very cautious on this. I actually had Evan Mann on from Faceless Many, and there were definitely concerns about how to address these things. And I respect it. I understand there's a lot of uncertainty or unknown. I think some might feel more certain than others. Me, I'm just like, oh, what's next? But we'll call it reward points or utility token, and we'll talk about that shortly. But when I think about, the idea that I have a super rare bear along with, actually I have two, and I have a Mice City, I believe, and I have that stake to earn, I believe, the rare points. And actually I could see that on the board on our decks, I believe. Here's the thing. If I'm in something, especially in an opportunity market, You're not grabbing liquidity, you're grabbing opportunity. And I think that's why today's conversation is so damn important, is that if you're looking to invest in this, not financial advice, I put my hands up, none of us are doing that. But if you have extra money that you can afford to lose, and you find communities, digital asset communities, whether it's on the Multiverse X blockchain, which I think they're great opportunities, ease of use of the Meyer wallet. There's a litany of reasons why I think this is really good, and it's affordable, and it's easy for mass adoption. I'm also a big fan of Ethereum and a little bit of a fan of Solana. I don't have much FUD here, but love it, Steve. But my bigger point is, remember, I'm the podcaster, so I have to stay very neutral. And that the other night we were talking about Matt and I were talking, Mr. Swazy, and I was saying how that can be a challenge for me because I have opinions and I have times where I want to troll, but I also don't want to hurt my brand, and I also want to be respectful to a difference of opinions. And I have a lot of different people on this podcast, so I stay neutral. I just stay neutral. But when I think about getting into a community, I like the idea of holding. If I've been smart enough to do my due diligence, I didn't dive in head first like Duncan over here, but I appreciate the honest answer. And then after you did the due diligence and you're like, hey, that was a good decision. But you were early enough on the Elrond ecosystem, Multiverse X. And I mean, you even had a picture with Benjamin, who is the CEO of Multiverse X. And I believe, Steve, you also have a picture, but you had a beautiful super rare bear tie on. Am I correct on this?
Yeah, well, my wife made that for me, actually. And she's designed one for one of our community members as well. So
okay.
If anyone's interested, she can do some work.
Okay, good. You're sending me a shirt so I can rock it on the pod. As we grow, I love my early people. Those relationships don't change. They only grow. But the idea of HODL, hold on for dear life, is something we really want to go down into. So, Steve, I'm going to throw this over to you, right? You guys have, I believe, a staking pool for Cryptopittz. Tell me a little bit about that, and why are you bullish on it? And again, from your end, you're the co-founder, so there's a reason that you guys have implemented that. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, let's take a real quick step back. One, I want everyone to understand that NFTs are access to the blockchain. You hold an NFT as an access point into the blockchain. What that NFT can end up doing within the blockchain, what access it can give you, what sort of ownership it can fractionalize for you, what type of connection to a product line that will give you. The NFT itself is an access to the blockchain. The coins or the reward tokens or whatever, SEC friendly term we want to use here that you generate, which is the Bones token in the Cryptopittz world, is really used to transact all things Cryptopittz creates. So everything Cryptopittz as a brand, as a company will produce will ultimately require the Bones token to be involved in some level of interfacing with that access point, right? So for instance, if there's a new product that is launched, for instance, we're going to require that there's a certain number of Bones tokens that one either holds or has to transact with in order to gain access, almost like a governance in some sense, or almost like how Elrond or Multiverse X has used the LKMX staking elements to give you access to lotteries of their new launchpad projects. We're kind of usurping or stealing some of that model as well. But we look at it differently. We think of everything in the future we do, whether it's gaming, whether it's comic books, whether it's some sort of digital ownership, physical ownership, something in which Cryptopittz is involved with will require the Bones token to engage and interact and have access to those products and service lines that we develop. So I guess in a nutshell, that's kind of how we visualize what this token is.
That was brilliant. That right there, guys, I'm not trying to Cryptopitt Duncan and Matt against each other, but that was the one of the best explanations of digital asset NFTs, the on-ramp. You're getting on the highway and you have access to. Now, what that token can do long-term is it can offer this value depending on the strength and the health of the community rocking merchandise. Well, I don't want to put anybody down here. All right. So, by the way, Tony, I do want to make mention. I love my guy, Tony, in the background. Tony, actually.
What up?
Yep. So Matt is actually co-founder of the Pyramid Group, and X First is a community project. Matt, did I correctly articulate that?
That sounds good. That's the way we go about it. Pyramid Group is managing X First. We've got Combase as the developers and Art by the Circle.
We just want to make sure we got that on the right title for you. Now,
I will update that.
thank you, sir. We're a professional podcast here, and we like to get it right. So,
Thank you.
Matt, here's my thought around X first. Tell me a little bit about the nodes, right? Because there's this value. Someone grabs this digital asset, right, which is access to the blockchain, and what that can do, what this digital asset or NFT can do, depends on what that community is doing. So tell me a little bit about X first and the nodes.
Okay, Craig. Well, as far as the nodes, essentially, just to keep it simple, on Multiverse X, we use the nodes to process transactions within, formerly the Elrond network on the blockchain there. And so, by creating these nodes, as what X First is doing is essentially a crowdfunding approach to creating these nodes to bring it, more access to the end user. And in doing so, we're going to build out liquidity pools and possibly create a little bit of disruptive technology within the ecosystem by being able to bypass the 10-day unbonding period, which kind of touches on the question before about, staking and if we like it and the pros and cons of that. But essentially, we're trying to build out more nodes to add more security and efficiency onto the Multiverse X network.
I love it. So I want to go to the next question I want to throw at you guys, and I'm going to actually go to Steve. How do you see your digital assets long-term integrating with traditional business? Probably the question that excites me the most for everybody on this podcast.
Well, I mean, if we did have, we do have a white paper for sure, but it's been in reconstruction for a minute. But that is essentially the essence of what Cryptopittz is, right? We're both a B2B and a B2C product, right? Everything we do with respect to building these digital assets is to enhance accessibility to blockchain and crypto technology. It's very difficult to explain to grandma, where Duncan obviously is currently residing at her house right now. It's very difficult to explain to grandma how a wallet works, but it might be very easy to explain to grandma that you just click on this picture, and this picture gives you access to your quote unquote holdings, your bank account, your digital account. And then within there, you may have it all ledgered out. And it's very difficult to explain to the average person what DeFi is. But imagine using digital assets to tell the story of DeFi from almost you've got the skeleton of what DeFi is, but then you've got the flesh of this product through the storyline of a NFT based or Web3 based approach. So ultimately, that's kind of where I see NFTs fitting into this kind of blockchain realm. If that's even your question, I've already forgot it.
No, I love it.
But ultimately, yeah. So in a nutshell, that's kind of where we visualize as a B2B product. We work with other companies. I mean, we're very well known for being very friendly in terms of working with different products in the multiverse ecosystem, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to teach people, whether it's within their echo chamber or outside their echo chamber, how to interact and interface with their product line through the storyline of this, faceplate that we've developed for them.
Yeah, you're not trying, you're doing it. And I love that.
We are doing it.
Big
shout
out.
Doing it.
Damn right you are.
We are fisting
it. So, Duncan, when you think about the super rare bears connecting with traditional products and services, and when I think about this question, guys, before you answer it, Duncan, I'm thinking anywhere between 2 to 5 years out and 10-year max before digital assets, really strong communities, cross-chain, by the way. I think cross-chain is going to look a lot different. I love that everybody comes to Twitter and Discord, and that feeling is the same. So it's not intimidating, and you start asking those questions. And by the way, people out there that are tuning in, there's no such thing as a stupid question, especially in this space when everybody is humbled. And I learn something new every day. I learn multiple new things every day. But Duncan, how do you see super rare bears connecting with, i.e., traditional products and services?
Traditional products and services, we created a game. Our game's done very, very well. It's on public release, and people can get involved with it if they own one of our NFTs or if they have 1,000 rare tokens. But, gaming in an aspect, it catches a lot of attention. A lot of it, that is a very important part of any community, is the gamers. A lot of gamers, they have voices right here, such as on YouTube, on other platforms as well. So why not let them talk and let them be a part of something? So we wanted to incorporate that game to have more of a traditional aspect of, merchandise as well. While we were at X Day, I had just a handful of hats that I wanted to hand out to people, and people loved hats. I mean, it keeps the sun out of your eyes, right? So they liked our logo being on it, and I tried getting a special one made for myself. So that failed. I guess time ran short, and I stood the guy up, and I'm very, very sorry if he sees this podcast.
Duncan, it's not about him. Why is it that I have an on-chain monkey hat, beautiful cap? Big shout out to OCM. How come I don't have a super rare bear cap?
You will be getting one of those.
I don't understand. My feelings are hurt, but it's okay.
I don't even know how he got one.
Wow. Now, can I tell you guys? And I want people
feel very left out right now.
This is the
I got
love.
Maddie.
This is the love, whichever way the screen is going for people that are tuning in. This is why I had you guys on, because these are 3 communities, and each of these individuals here respect each other. And I'll say behind the scenes, right? Hey, Don, behind the curtain. But what I am saying is that people connect. They have conversations because business owners, every digital asset community is a business. And if you treat it as such, your opportunities to be here long-term and learn from the mistakes of all the rugs, all the shit projects, all the founders who are not mature enough to respond or not respond to FUD, that to me is the people that are going to last long-term. Those are the ones that are going to make the long-term run, and they're going to learn from mistakes, and they're going to have transparency and honesty with their community. So, Matt, I want to throw this question to you, and then I'm going to go to Duncan, and then Steve, I'll come back to you. Matt, why is it e-gold over Ethereum? Why are you so in love with the Multiverse X community and the native token e-gold?
I think something that we said a lot, I think I'm probably stealing this, another shout out to Don Paulo here, his analogy, but that if Bitcoin was kind of like tape cassettes and Ethereum is a CD, a compact disc, right? Then e-gold pushes towards streaming. And so what eGold is doing is continuing to solve the trilemma in crypto of balancing decentralization, security, and scalability. But at the end of the day, what it comes down to is the user experience, where you can be right in grandma's house right there with Duncan and show her the way. I personally onboarded an 82-year-old onto the Elrond network last year.
Well, I want to let you know, I appreciate that response, but I'm going to let Duncan onboard his own grandma. I'd like you to respect his space, if you don't mind. Okay? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little offended right now. A little bit offended. I don't know.
Duncan, I would never onboard your grandmother. Okay.
Wow. All right, Duncan.
I've onboarded his grandma.
Of course you are. He's probably after your OnlyFans. Hey, Duncan, I want to come to you really quick on this. Now, it's the debate of who has been on the multiverse blockchain longer, and obviously you are one of the largest holders. Like, there's a ranking app on your Meyer wallet, and I can be like, oh, I'm 100,000 and something, so I'm like way back out there. You're like in the top 1,000.
I'm somewhere. I don't pay attention to that, honestly.
All right, we won't flex. I'm gonna get to the bigger question. The bigger question is, why eGold, and when did you purchase first? When was your first purchase?
My first purchase was, I believe it was June or July of 2020. So that was during the ERD days. I met Steven. Steven was already in it, but through Telegram. And I don't believe that Telegram gets talked about as often as it should. That's a huge platform. So many Elrond followers, so many Multiverse X followers. They are sitting, living, and breathing on Telegram. So if nobody does know about it, reach out to us. We could point you to the Traders channel, which is, known as basically the Elrond channel. And get the conversation going in there. There's a lot of bright minds. It's just, scams. People try getting your information.
Right.
We've seen tons of it. Matt seen a ton of it. Steven's seen a ton of it. It's out there. They dig.
But you know what, though? Listen, just like there are career learners and career business people, there are also career criminals, and we don't give them not their positive accolades, but the fact is they do their due diligence and they choose to use their intelligence for bad. That's just that fact. And if you're not careful, your stuff is gone. So, all right, Steve. So you are the real OG. I actually thought it was Duncan. I don't know why. Maybe the big guy. He looks like Hulk Hogan. He's in grandma's basement, onboarding Granny into the space. But it's you. It's you. Yeah. You're the longest guy in Elrond. Why E-Gold over Ethereum? Just make the case for me. Why should
Duncan's a puny man? He's a puny man compared to the great Brat. No, Duncan and I have a very similar, although he has better friends than I do who introduced him, but we have a very similar way in which we've stumbled upon Elrond, ERD at the time. I had seen the writing on the wall with the economic collapse happening during the March, I think it was 15th or 17th stock market crash, if you will. And I'm like, well, gosh, if there was ever a time for cryptocurrency to kind of rise from the ashes, this certainly seems like a destabilized, global economic position for cryptocurrency to jockey for position. So I logged into my Binance account for the first time in probably like 2.5 years because I lost a shoot ton of money, as we all did from that previous crash. And I saw I still had some funds in there. And I said, what is the absolute cheapest coin on Binance at this time? And it just so happened that there was this new Binance Lab project that got launched called Elrond. And I was like, well, that's cheap as dirt. It's like under $1. Actually, at the time, it was under 0.00. I don't know. It was like under a penny. But it was a different tokenomic model at the time. So I went ahead and just blasted everything I had left in Binance into there. And I got a nice little bag of, Elrond at the time, in which I kind of had built on throughout time. But what, to Duncan's point, what kept me in Elrond was Telegram, was that trader channel, was interacting with the Duncans and of course the Margarita Paws, who's the OG of OGs. Yep. Shout out to, we built a little fraternity of some of the OG holders from Telegram, and we've all kind of been a brotherhood and sisterhood who have kind of kept each other engaged in this community. And that was the first time I've ever had a relationship with an investment. Okay. I've never had a relationship with an investment before. And I think that's an untold sort of recipe to the blockchain, space. And that is kind of building a relationship with the communities that you're invested in. I mean, I have traditional stock investments, but there's no Telegram channel I'm going in to interact with people talking about mining products and electromagnetic magnets and things of this nature. So Telegram really was something that I would have sold out probably after mainnet launched if it wasn't for Telegram, really building that community around the ecosystem of Elrond, teaching me everything there was to know about Elrond, really learning what the trilemma even meant, why that's important, what it's going to take for a new layer one to be very successful and be competitive, to Maddie's point, kind of being that next wave of kind of technological advancement, the Moore's law of cryptocurrency and blockchain tech. So, yeah, I mean, that's what kept me in, is the community. And Elrond has always been about community. It's a community first, which is why NFTs have flourished in many ways on Elrond, because we are so community centric.
But I love that. Two things that I pulled from you. Last thing you just said is community centric. The second thing is, why did you stay so long in Elrond, E-Gold? Why did you purchase E-Gold? Why did you stay there? Why didn't you just sell your bags? It was the engagement on Telegram. And I want people to hear that. If you're not on Telegram, engage with that more. I think I will. I also have to be careful because the amount of time that we spend in front of our phone is absolutely unreal. And I have to balance that out. And so this actually is my podcast is also not hedging my bets on the space because I believe in it. But this is a time where I get to just talk to my friends, and I have, planned out content for you guys. I want to just talk to you guys about, and I was looking through some of the thought-provoking questions, but social currency is extremely important. First, define social currency. And then second, tell me how you built that in your ecosystem. And it was something that Frank DeGod, which I believe he's still on Solana. Will he go over to another blockchain? It's possible. He's got great momentum, but more importantly than just the momentum is he has a lot of social currency. People respect him. People like him. I'm not saying he doesn't get fudded on at all, Matt, so don't go there. But my question, I'm just going to throw this to Matt. When you hear the word social currency, what does it mean to you, and how is X First building that, and then Duncan, and then Steve?
Good question. Social currency is kind of at least a newer term, that I've heard more in recent months for me. And it's interesting because social currency, that is fascinating to me that we call it that, because it implies that it's dynamic in a way that it could be, both earned or spent, it could be gained and lost. And you can earn social currency, by building trust and, keeping your word and, being who you say you are, transparent, whatever is expected from within your community or where you're trying to build product, audience, whatever. And you could lose that just as easily, missing deadlines, misleading others, having starting to shift, from who you were to what you're becoming, trending in the wrong direction, things like that. And as far as X first, I like to think we emphasize the point that all questions are welcome, even if some others may consider that FUD. We seek it out because, it's X first's belief, it's Pyramid Group's belief, it's my personal belief that the community will, hand you the tools to success if you engage properly with them and really listen.
I love it. All right, Duncan, how about you? When you think of social currency, what does it mean to you, and what does it mean to the Super Rare Bear community?
I've never used that term, but I think that the team needs to now look over my title, and I should be the social currency executive. No, I mean, it means everything to us. That's the whole relationship between team and community, team and investor. No matter how you look at it, there's got to be something special there. You got to be able to speak to people. And if you're tiptoeing around answers, then obviously the honesty is something that you're failing to provide, or you're too cautious. And these could be red flags for some folks. But to have a relationship with your audience, to have a relationship with other brands, it's important to be relevant in the standpoint of being somebody that is trustworthy and able to speak on any platform at any time, and not have something written and prepared to give a statement. So the less that we have to hide is the more that we're providing to our community.
Trust, transparency, and consistency, for me, is what social currency means. And it was really good to hear both you, Matt, and Duncan. Steve, how do you see Cryptopittz, you and Jared, building your social currency?
Well, first I want to take you back to the term social currency as a very kind of Black Mirror parable, right? To me, where I hate the concept of this idea that one day we're all going to have sort of a meter that goes up or down that sort of represents what our trust levels are, right? But that's kind of the direction we're going. Back in the old days, we used to call social currency reputation, I guess. And I think Jared and I are ultimately trying to do what we can to represent unapologetically and authentically as possible, and be as fidelitous to the brand as we can and to our community. Look, at the end of the day, we were NFT consumers, or we were we were fans before we were creators, if you will, and we understand kind of both sides of the token, or both sides of whatever the wall here. It's more or less the idea that we are going to always embody and project who we are in what we build, and that social currency should hopefully be reflected in the willingness for people to jump on board into the products and materials that we're involved with, the projects we're involved with. That's kind of a judgment, I guess, of our social currency. But once again, it kind of always kind of brings up these thoughts, that Black Mirror episode, right? Where everyone's kind of judging you on and rating you at every interaction and every engagement. And eventually that's kind of going to determine how well someone invites you to give their the speech to the wedding.
You made a very good point, though, right? We don't have to like it. We would call it reputation back then. Now, because of these digital lives, right? And your PFP is a representation of you and the connections to that and the Web3 ethos. Social currency to me is very important, because without that, that's without the reputation. The reason that I have you guys on is because personally to me, I've talked to you guys. I continue to talk to you guys. We've built a relationship, and the social currency is not something that is necessarily you exchange for money or monetary gain or a home or a product or a service. But in order to have those opportunities to those things, you have to have trust. So if you give my name out, Steve, to somebody who helps my podcast to grow, or helps Duncan's community or helps Matt's community indirectly, what you're doing is you're feeding into the social currency ethos. And it's not always related to money. Sometimes it's just an offline chat with a friend saying, this is tough right now, and I'm having some issues. And everybody comes together to support reputable, incredible people. That's why you guys are here today. And that's what the idea of social currency. I remember that episode that you're speaking of, by the way, Steve. But that's why you guys are here, because to me, what you guys represent outside, like say, I'm just using Duncan, you're not leaving tomorrow, but you are the community head for Super Rare Bears, especially on the American side. If you left tomorrow, I don't go, oh, Duncan's not, which I'm using this as an example. Oh, he's not there. You have so much social currency with us that it doesn't matter where you are. And the same goes for Steve. The same goes for Matt. These are the relationships that we build. And those are the people relationships outside of a community per se. And it's also how you leave things. And I think that's really important to note. I kind of want to dive into a couple more things like DEXs, right? When we think about a DEX, a decentralized exchange, and safety mechanisms in place, Steve, define that for me. And what is like one thing that someone should know that you think about when you're going on to a DEX?
Well, privacy, anonymity is huge for me. Is why I like to use a DEX. I think it's a little bit more of it's an autonomous way of trading and swapping for various tokens or cryptocurrencies, whatever have you. A DEX was always super intimidating to me up until, once another point to the notch on Elron or Multiverse X is I never interacted with the DEX before Elron. I mean, I don't know if that's 100% true, because I guess PancakeSwap and Uniswap, they kind of came out and I had looked at them and I'm like, I'm confused by this. This is really, what's a liquidity pool? Like, what is happening here? It made me kind of go down the rabbit hole a lot, but Elron really ushered me in and kind of handheld me with their really user-friendly UI and UX experience with the DEX that they've created and the Meyer wallet integration, et cetera. But for me, a DEX is anonymity. It's a very, very Web3, no ownership way, no custodial way of trading funds.
No, I love that. And Duncan, what are your thoughts around that, DEXs?
I love DEXs. So Elron was the first. The Meyer exchange was the first DEX that I've ever been involved in, ever. And if I would have known about it, years back, if I would have known about DEXs years back, then I would have acquired, an experience that showed me my true ownership of what I hold and what I can do with it at what moment. So now that I completely understand it, and I would suggest anyone look into how to operate in the DEX, but now I can put myself in position to take profits if I want profits, and be responsible about percentages that I have invested and where I want to go with it. But you have ownership now. You can do whatever you want. You don't like it as this token, turn it into that token. You want to provide liquidity, you could do so. If you want to earn interest and yield farm chase until tomorrow, go ahead and do that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we want our money to work for us and not against us. Right now, we're working our butts off at 9-to-5 jobs and putting in 40 hours a week if we have full-time jobs. Right. And it's backbreaking sometimes. Right now, I got work in about 30 minutes. I prefer not to. So when you have an opportunity like a DEX, then you find avenues to make your money work for you.
Yeah. I mean, you have to build on your dream, especially in this opportunity market. And it goes to exactly, and I love this transparency. And what I'm hoping that people on the Twitter Spaces and also YouTube are doing is that they're following you. And I want to say, I want them to hit that follow button and think of engage mindset, because we've got 3 strong individuals up here from 3 really great communities. And I'm bullish on all of you long term. Do I know where that leads financially? No. But for me, the social currency is extremely high. Couple things that I want to talk about, and Duncan, we'll have you pop off in a little bit. If we go past, I think we should be okay. But as I want to talk about, Elron started off in Romania. The European advantage is strong due to regulations in America. And I'm a big fan of the Meyer wallet. And we know that Coinbase, by the way, big announcement, Coinbase now has eGold on there. So I think at some point, the transfer tab to go from Coinbase to the Meyer wallet's going to be easier. You also have MoonPay for those that are curious about that. So there's a lot of technical stuff. This is not a technical podcast per se. It's more of a mindset, and this is the Roundtable podcast. But when I think about the leg, the European leg, how do we strengthen ourselves for Multiverse X in America? Where is that big onboard? And Steve, I want to throw this question at you.
Can you repeat the question? I was looking at pornography.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
I love it. Listen, if the viewers go up because you're looking at porn.
I wasn't really looking at porn. I just didn't know how else to describe that. I was actually looking at my next crochet project. No, I was when you said, please repeat the question. I was doing something constructive.
No, it's totally cool. You weren't paying attention. What I was saying is the Romanian leg, no problem. The Romanian leg, the European side of Elrond is really, really important. And there's a lot of regulations in America. And obviously we see the Fed and other people asking all the questions like, oh, how should we recognize this? Is this, and where's this the Howey test? Like figuring all these things out. So how in America can we get more mass adoption, not just of Web3, but specifically niched to get more people to utilize the Meyer wallet and to get more people into these NFT communities and purchasing the native token eGold?
Yeah, that's the $64 billion question, as they would say. One thing I think that Multiverse X, whatever we want to brand it, I mean, let's start with Elrond. One thing that has been a criticism to Elrond since early on was the lack of, I guess, penetrance of the U.S. market, right? There wasn't a lot of marketing. There wasn't a lot of really going after to penetrate the U.S. market and the North American market. And I think there was some controversy that happened in the Web3 American project space here on Multiverse, where we were saying, hey, we need more attention into the U.S. market, right? There's a huge, opportunity here, a huge marketplace to tap into. But now that we're Multiverse X, it kind of adds both a new advantage and a new disadvantage, right, to the issue. And that really comes down to no one's heard of Multiverse X. Right. Not a lot of people heard of Elrond. I mean, how many conferences have all of us been to and discussed that we're on the Elrond blockchain? And people say, huh? What is, tell me more. What is this? And we have to go into the whole spiel. So it was hard always talking about Cryptopittz if you weren't talking about Elrond. Now with Multiverse X, it's kind of another layer of complexity. What is Multiverse X? I mean, we just got listed on Coinbase, which is awesome. What a great way to introduce to the U.S. market. Here's a new product, Multiverse X. What the heck is it? Right. Did they know Multiverse X was Elrond? Did they even know what Elrond was prior? So we have an opportunity now with this rebranding to really showcase Multiverse X as this entire metaverse suite of programs that are going to usher people, and metaverse can mean many different things. We're at a very low tech position of metaverse right now, but the multiverse product suite that Multiverse X is releasing is ultimately going to be a way for businesses and people to engage in new innovative ways. And we have to get that message out, not just to the consumer, but also to the businesses looking to find a position in Web3.
No, I love it. And I think mass adoption happens from conversations like this. People will tune in, and I guarantee, I picked up a couple new things today, right? Telegram, really important. What white paper and roadmap, our first question, really started off, and how you guys see it, how Duncan just jumped in and then after the fact said, oh, this was a good FOMO decision. And we're going to still have FOMO and excitement, and we want the excitement in this space. Matt, how would you answer that question for onboarding? I know that you are fully focused on me and that you're not looking or distracted by other things like Steve is, and I'm really happy with that.
Yeah, Steve, that was a damn good answer considering you were just crocheting while the question was asked. I think if I heard you right.
Yeah. I was crocheting for sure.
Yeah. No, I think you hit all the right points there. Certainly the Coinbase edition helps from the American side to at least be able to, talk to our, friends and family and, neighbors and colleagues about what's going on. Because one of the questions we hear often, is, was it on Coinbase? And we're like, no. They're like, okay, what kind of scam? Even if they know about crypto, like what kind of scam coin are you trying to tell me about here? So, but then with the regulations and the KYC, the know your customer, as far as with the launch pad from the Multiverse X side, it's going to be, hopefully conversations like these can help pave the way for some looser regulations. I think something's going to have to give and time will tell. And it's just kind of unfortunate right now that you could, come in and take advantage of, arguably the best user experience, best user interface in the space, yet can't access the launchpad until you're basically exit liquidity as an American. So there's a little bit more risk there coming in later from the American side. And I really hope that the people much smarter than myself can figure out how to do that, because I'll certainly, scream it from the top of the mountain, so to speak, what I want to see.
I love that. And it's a great answer. I do want to just do a couple quick things real quick. Tony, if you can, I just want to do a quick screen share. So this is my page, CraigO's Crypto Corner. And you can, obviously, a lot of the video content from today, the short clips will be on here. That handsome guy on the left, he's asking a question. I'm pretending to listen in the middle. And then my boy Cade, who's got a great podcast, is on the right. Gentlemen, this has been great. So, definitely follow me. Again, my thing is to continue to build these relationships. I do want to give one last shout out to a good buddy of mine on the Ethereum blockchain, but I'm not giving the shout out to his communities per se. I'm giving it out to him. And the reason is he has a great Twitter Spaces for Rotten Antisocial Club. We actually did a giveaway last week. Sometimes I'll have gift contest sponsors. Today, we talked about it offline, and the reason we decided not to, this was about learning. Class was really in session. I want to give to my community. I want to give to those that subscribe and engage with me. But most importantly today, this was a bedrock. You can bring me just so I'm not looking at myself the whole time. This is a bedrock of great information. We learned a tremendous amount. There's probably, I would say, 10 gold nuggets in this entire conversation. Steve Brotman of Cryptopittz, Duncan Twig from Super Rare Bears, Matt Swazy, 1/3, the pyramid group that created the X First project. Gentlemen, it has been an honor today having you on CraigO's Crypto Corner, the best in Web3. Thank you so much for watching CraigO's Crypto Corner, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency technologies. CraigO signing off.